So in the beginning of the movie, we are told about Palo religion, about the Palo path that starts and ends with someone's sacrifice, and like other religions, darkness and light also exist in Palo. Now I will explain about Palo a little later. Well, then we see a Cuban family in Brooklyn, 1999, who were celebrating their daughter's birthday. Their daughter's name was Rosario. Now, in this family, there is Oscar, his wife Elena, Elena's mother Griselda. Well, everyone was celebrating, but Griselda gets up from there and goes to her room. Well, now we come to know that actually Rosario's dream was to become successful by working in a big company. Well, then Elena comes there and she asks Rosario to find and call Griselda. And here we can clearly see that Elena was very ill. Before calling Griselda, Rosario helps Oscar, and Oscar makes her sit on a chair and tells her that he wants Rosario to know how many difficulties they have faced to reach here, which shows how much hard work they have done, considering the background they comes from. Then Rosario goes to Griselda's room, but there was no one there. But there was mud scattered on the carpet, and that mud was going towards the closet. Now there was blood on the clothes kept inside the closet as well. Then Rosario starts leaving from there. Then we see Griselda coming out from inside that closet, and then she hides behind the door. Rosario was looking at Griselda's stuff here. Then she comes there and asks Rosario what she is doing here. Then Rosario says that she has come to call Griselda for prayers. Now here, Griselda says that her beliefs and Griselda's beliefs are very different. Then Rosario sees that Griselda's hand was bleeding, so when Rosario asks about that wound, Griselda sends Rosario away from there. Then when everyone is praying, Griselda comes there and we feel a dark presence around Griselda. Seeing this, Rosario got very scared, and she and we understand that Griselda believes in black magic and witchcraft. And when she said that her beliefs are different, she was talking about this only. Well, now the scene changes and shifts to 2025, i.e. present time, and now Rosario has become a very big stockbroker in Wall Street, and now she has changed her name to Rose. Well, in the morning we see that Rose gets a call from Griselda, but Rose does not pick up the call. Well, now what happened in these 26 years was that Rosario's father, Oscar, left his ailing wife Elena, and then Elena and Griselda started living in their old apartment. Rose decided to live with Oscar, after which she never talked to Elena and she never went to meet her. Well, now a few years passed, and after falling very ill, Elena died, and then Rose went to her funeral for the last time, and that was the last time she saw her grandmother Griselda. Now, after remembering all these things, she comes back to the present, and Rose leaves for her office, and when she reaches outside her office, the security guard there, Miguel, asks her to invest some more money so that he can get some profit. But Rose says that Miguel will have to come to the office and talk and invest himself. Actually, what happened here was that if Rose wanted, she could have invested Miguel's money, but because now she considers herself completely American and has completely ended her roots, she would not help Miguel. And if she did so, Rose's background could have been checked. But what is there in her background that she was afraid of? So I will explain this to you in a while. Well, now, after going to the office, Rose comes to know about this, that a snowstorm was going to come there tonight, and we also see that Rose is a very intelligent and brilliant broker, because whatever she predicts, it happens. Well then, in the evening, when she starts going home, the storm intensifies and the network is also getting bad. Now Rose goes to the metro station and calls Griselda, and a man picks up the call, who was Marty, the manager of the same building where Griselda used to live. Now he tells Rose that her grandmother Griselda has passed away. Rose is very sad to hear that she had fallen down and died, and she also tells this to Oscar. Well, Rose was now going to go to Griselda's apartment, and Oscar tries to stop her, but Rose does not agree and cuts the call. Now, as soon as she cuts the call, she sees Elena near the stairs, who was coughing and her condition was very bad, which shows how much she must have been upset in her last moments. Then she suddenly disappears, and Rose also does not pay much attention to this thing and reaches directly to Griselda's apartment, and the building was very old. Then she meets the manager Marty there, who tells Rose everything, and he takes her to Griselda's room. In the nearby room, we see a man who was coughing, whose name is Joe, and he was also very ill. Now, after going inside the room, Rose sees that Griselda's dead body was lying on the couch, and it was covered with a white cloth. Marty said that he has called the ambulance and asks Rose to come downstairs with him until it arrives. Rose says she will stay here. Before leaving, Marty extinguishes the candles kept on the table, and he tells that he had come earlier and extinguished them, and how they lit again was a very strange thing. Then Marty leaves from there, and after he leaves, Rose cries a lot. But as soon as she removes the cloth from her grandmother's dead body, her soul trembles, because the condition of the dead body was very bad. There were cut marks all over the body. Then Rose hears the sound of utensils falling, and she goes and sees that there was no one there, but there were a lot of dirty utensils lying there, which means that Griselda had faced a lot of problems in her last days, and now she picks up those utensils and throws them in the dustbin. Then she sees an ambulance going outside the window, and after calling, she comes to know that this ambulance was not for them. It was for someone else, and the ambulance coming to take Griselda's body will take time to come. Due to the storm, a lot of people had vanished. Well, Rose could not do anything in this matter, so she drags her grandmother's dead body with the help of a cloth to the bedroom and places it on the bed, and sits there, waiting for the ambulance to arrive. Rose sees Griselda's mouth moving, which seems very strange to her. Then a worm comes out of Griselda's nose. Rose cleans it with a cloth, but then that worm enters Rose's hand and starts crawling in her body. That worm was about to enter her brain when she takes out that worm from her ear with the help of a plier. This was a very dangerous scene. Well, Rose was in a lot of shock, and she sits there. While sitting, Rose notices that there was mud on the floor, and that mud was going towards the closet, just like she had seen in her childhood. Now Rose goes near the closet, but she is unable to check the closet and comes out of that room. But she wanted to know what is inside that closet, so she goes back and checks. Now there was a hidden door behind the closet, which had a lock on it, and there was a symbol on it. Then someone knocks on the door of the house, and the same person who was outside, who is very strange, was trying to force his way into the house, because he said that Griselda had taken his air flyer, but Rose does not let him in and says that if she finds it, she will return it to him, and then she closes the door. Then Joe asks Rose to apply something on the wound on her hand, and Rose notices that her hand was injured because of that insect. Now Rose first ties a cloth on her hand, and then she checks her grandmother's body, and there were cuts on Griselda's whole body. She had also tied a barbed wire with her thigh, which is a very strange thing, along with which there was also the key of that closet. Well, quickly she takes the key and opens the lock of that closet, and she goes inside the door. Behind her, she sees a hidden chamber where a lot of things related to voodoo, i.e., black magic, were kept. There were a lot of human and animal bones, skulls, dolls made of tree branches, and a very scary doll on which Rosario's name was written. And the biggest thing was that in the middle of that chamber there was a golden iron pot, inside which there were big iron nails and knives. Well, there were 3 such pots on which there was a picture of Rose's childhood. Inside one pot was Rose's hair, and in the last pot was a tampon covered with Rose's blood, i.e., when she started her cycle for the first time. Now, after seeing all this, Rose was completely shocked as to what was going on in her family. What were her grandmother and her mother involved in? Rose starts panicking so much after seeing this that she vomits, and we see Alana's ghost behind Rose, i.e., her mother's ghost. Well, now Rose hears some voice. When she comes, her face got injured, and now she quickly comes out of that chamber in fear, which means that Rose's father was right in saying that she should not go there. Now she gets so scared of all this that she comes out of that apartment, because whatever she had seen inside that chamber convinced her that Griselda has done black magic on her, and whatever weird was happening till now was happening because of this. Outside the apartment, she meets Joe, and she ignores him and goes out and somehow opens the main door of that building and comes out. Now outside, she was about to collide with a car, and the biggest problem was that there was a lockdown for 4 hours because there was a very strong snowstorm there. So this meant that Rose would now have to wait for 4 hours at the metro station. Now, on the way, Rose listens to Griselda's voicemail, in which she was repeatedly apologizing to Rose for something. Well, when Rose goes to the station, she meets a man there who had a dog, and after seeing the dog, Rose gets very scared, and on top of that, the man had left his dog behind Rose. Well, to escape from that dog, Rose runs towards the exit, but she got stuck there. Then, Elena's ghost holds Rose's hand and hits her head against the door, and Rose faints there for a few moments. When she regains consciousness, the dog was trying to catch her leg, so she somehow escaped from it and came back to the building. Rose was badly hurt, and she could not understand what happened to her, so she takes the help of Google and finds out that all the things that she has seen, that is, inside that chamber, are actually related to Palo religion. And we know about Palo Mayombe, which is a crossover of Latin American Christians and African traditions, and it is very dangerous. It would be good if it is done for positive things. But if you do it negatively, it can be very dangerous, and those who practice this religion are called Palro, and Griselda was also a Palro. Well, now in Palo, the dead spirits are buried with human remains, i.e., their bones, skulls, and animal sacrifices. That too with the help of the same iron pot. This iron pot has a lot of energy inside it. It is called Ngangus, and Ngangus is a very crucial tool for dealing or curse. Now, Rose researches about curses, then she finds out that in Palo there is a curse of life and death as well, and accursed means that the one who is cursed cannot survive no matter what happens. Well, then the symbol of that curse is shown, and Rose remembers that the same symbol was on Griselda's Palo book as well, and Rose sees that the same symbol is on her hand as well. And the biggest thing is that the lock also had the same symbol on it, i.e., she had been cursed. Well, she tells the whole thing to her father, and Oscar said that maybe all the things are because of that Ngangus. And then an idea comes in Rose's mind that if she destroys that iron pot, i.e., Ngangus, then she can be saved. So she quickly goes upstairs, and Joe was upstairs was trying to open Griselda's apartment. Well, now Rose quickly goes to that chamber and tries to pull that iron pot and bring the Ngangus out, but it was tied with a chain. And then Elena's ghost comes there. But somehow Rose brings the Ngangus out, but then the chain got stuck in her neck. It seemed that there was some power which did not want to let her go out, and somehow she frees herself. And then she was about to find a way to end this curse on the mobile. Then the mobile's battery runs out. Now, in frustration, Rose takes out her anger on a bookshelf, and then she hears a hollow voice, and after searching a bit, she finds out the phone. Rose finds Griselda's book, and a method to break the curse was written inside it, in which it was told that the blood of a cursed and the blood of the person who cursed it will have to be put inside the Ngangus. And by doing this, the curse will be broken. That is, Rose quickly brings a knife inside that pot and puts a drop of her blood on the Ngangus. And when Griselda's turn comes, wherever Rose was making a cut, blood was not coming from there, as if there was no blood inside it. But where did that blood go? Well, now she was not able to understand anything. Then Rose's phone turns on automatically, and Griselda's voice message was playing in it, and suddenly it stops, and when Rose goes to check her phone, Elena's ghost starts coming out from the bookshelf. And seeing this, she was shocked, and now she directly stabs Griselda's hand with that knife. And finally, some drops of blood fall inside that Ngangus, and Elena's ghost disappears from there. Well, now Rose thinks that everything must be fine. But then the voicemail plays again, and Elena's ghost appears there again, and to save herself from it, Rose hides under the bed. But there, a lot of hands start holding Rose, and then they disappear the very next moment. Now, Elena's ghost comes out of the bed and vomits insects on Rose's face. Rose now quickly goes and cleans her face, and Joe, who had come outside the apartment, again starts saying that he wants her air fryer. Rose says that her grandmother never had an air fryer. Then Joe says that maybe she did not know Griselda as much as he knows because she always used to pray for Rose's good fortune. Rose is shocked to hear all this, and she asks Joe about her grandmother. Then Joe tells that Griselda loved Rose a lot, and she always used to pray for Rose's good future. She used to pray for this all the time, morning and evening. That means she did not hate her. Now, after hearing this, Rose understands why this curse has not ended even now, because Griselda never cursed her. Rather, her grandmother had even prayed for Rose's good fortune, for which she had made a deal with a spirit named Kobayande Ngangus. And now you must have understood how she became such a good stockbroker, and how her predictions always came true because this spirit was helping her. Well, now, after going to the chamber, Rose comes to know about Kobayande, that he is a collector of souls of dead people who wanders in the dark. Now, when the terms of the deal made with Kobayande are completed, that is, someone's future becomes good, and he has money and everything, then Kobayande comes back in the form of some terrible memory of the past, and he torments the person for whom the deal was made. That is, in this case, he was tormenting Rose, and Kobayande does this until that person is finished. And the biggest thing is that Rose had only this night left because she will be finished before the morning. Now Rose comes out of that chamber to find a way to escape from this deal, and she searches for that book, and she sees that Griselda was holding that book very tightly. Now Rose somehow snatches the book, but the book falls down, and then Rose finds a way to be free from Kobayande's deal. So if the Palro who has made the deal puts her blood on a Ganges, that is, on that pot, that too as a sacrifice, then Kobayande will take her soul and body as a sacrifice, and the deal will be nullified. That is, the person for whom the deal was made, he will be saved. Basically, Rose could have saved herself from this. Well, here, because Griselda had not given a loan, but had made the deal for good fortune, and that has ended as well, Rose was going to trap Kobayande in Griselda's body. Basically, she was going to deceive him, and she had also started the ritual. She starts chanting, and everything was about to be almost completed when the ambulance arrives there. We also see that what she was reading was a little lost. She was reading it in a weird way. Now, because the ritual was not completed here, Rose brings Griselda's body near the closet door, and here Marty, along with the paramedics, were searching for Griselda's body inside the whole house, but they could not find the body anywhere. Then Elena's ghost, who is actually Kobayande, comes there and tries to kill Rose. Then Rose tries to ask Marty for help by tapping on the door. Now Marty hears some sound, but he feels as if the sound has come due to the storm, and he leaves from there. Then Kobayande also left from there. Now Rose quickly goes out and covers the windows of the entire apartment, and when she comes near her grandmother's body to complete the ritual, then Griselda's body was not there. Her grandmother's body was hanging with the chandelier above, and when Rose tries to bring it down, the body falls directly on her. Well, now, Rose removes her grandmother from above her. When she starts completing the ritual, she sees that Griselda's mouth was shaking because Kobayande was coming out of her. Now, suddenly Rose stops chanting, and she should not have done this because here, Kobayande slams Rose's face against the wall, due to which Rose faints there. Now, when Rose regains consciousness, she sees that the light has come, and she sees Elena there, who was in normal condition, but Rose was still scared. Then Elena convinces her that she is not Kobayande, and Rose also believes this. Rose was apologizing to Elena for whatever she had done to Elena and Griselda. She had abandoned them, so Elena forgives her, and then she hugs Rose. But then Elena tells Rose that she is a #1 selfish girl, and this is because she was not Elena, but Kobayande. He was lying to collect her spirit. Well, now he again starts torturing Rose, so she runs away from him. But Kobayande was behind her, and he drags her along with him to show what sacrifices Elena and Griselda had made to give this life to Rose. So what happened was that when Rose's whole family was coming from Cuba to America through illegal route, there was checking there, and they were caught. Now in all this, Griselda, Elena, and Oscar were saved, but Griselda's husband, that is Rose's grandfather, was dead. Actually, an officer had let loose a dog on him, due to which he died, and that is why that dog was following Rose at the station. Actually, it was a bad moment of the past to show her. Well, then what happens is that Rose comes back to reality, and Kobayandi starts provoking her. But Rose does not give up, and she continues chanting and starts completing the ritual. And as the ritual was getting completed, Kobayandi was going into Griselda's body. We also get to see the real form of Kobayandi, which is quite terrifying. Now Kobayandi tries to mislead Rose by imitating Alina's voice, but Rose completes the ritual, and Kobayandi gets trapped in Griselda's body. Now it was morning, and Oscar arrives there, and he was very upset to see Rose's condition. Now Rose says that she made a big mistake, and she should never have forgotten her Cuban roots. She is from a Cuban family, and she did not help Mexican Cubans and non-Americans just because she wanted to appear American, and she also changed her name to Rose. Now Oscar is happy to hear all this, and he starts talking in Spanish. Rose says that her Spanish is no longer the same, and I also told you that the book she was reading was in Spanish, and that's why that ritual was becoming quite weird, and I also said that her language was not that good. Well, after a while, paramedics come there, and they take Griselda's body. Then Oscar and Rose come back to the apartment and start cleaning the apartment. Now Rose also knew that both Griselda and Elena loved him very much. Well, now Oscar has some work to do, so he starts leaving from there, and Rose looks at her family's photo album, and she notices that in the pictures taken on his birthday and childhood, there was mud on Oscar's hands. And now Rose understands the whole matter. And you must also remember that in childhood, there was mud lying near the closet. Now she sees that there was mud outside the closet, and Oscar was sitting inside the chamber, which means that he had not gone out. And now here we come to know the whole truth. And friends, now the real cards of the Rosario film are revealed here. Actually, this deal was not done by Griselda, but by Oscar. That too in childhood when Rose saw Griselda coming out of the chamber. Then Griselda saw Oscar in the chamber. But Oscar made the biggest mistake that he forgot that it was okay to do all this. But the biggest problem in this was that sacrifice is very important in the Palo ritual, which means that this spirit goes only with sacrifice, and Griselda was sacrificing her blood, and that is why on that day, blood was coming out of Griselda's hands, that is, in the beginning scene, and this was the reason why Griselda did not want to tell anything to Rose. And the biggest thing is that at the end also, at the time of ending, there were so many cuts on her body, because for so many years she was the one who was sacrificing her blood, and she apologized before ending, because she knew that now her time has come, and if the blood is not sacrificed, then the spirit of Kobayandi will destroy Rose. Well, now Oscar apologizes to his daughter, and he tells that from now on, he will sacrifice his own blood. She also sees that Oscar had poured his blood on that Nangas. And according to the ritual, if Palro, who has made the deal, sacrifices blood, then Kobayandi will take his soul and body, because even though Rose had trapped Kobayandi, but she also started that ritual, and now Oscar has completed it. But the only difference is that now Kobayandi is angry. Obviously, he was deceived, and here Oscar was such a bad person that he himself started this ritual for his daughter. After that, Elena's mother donated all her blood for her granddaughter, despite that he left his wife and her. Well, now Kobayandi's spirit occupies Oscar's body. He runs after Rose to kill her. Rose tries to hide from him, but it is of no use. Kobayandi catches Rose. Now Kobayandi's spirit had a knife, but even then, Rose was trying to fight back. Then Kobayandi's spirit turns on the gas and tries to burn Rose. Then Joe comes there to save Rose because he was a good friend of Griselda, who was repeatedly hitting Kobayandi with his air fryer. That is, he was a little weak mentally somewhere. Well, now what happens is that Kobayandi does not care. The result is the opposite. He lifts the Joe in the air and breaks his neck and ends it. Well, now Rose picks up that knife and stabs it in the neck of Kobayandi, who has come inside her father, and Kobayandi falls on the Nagangus, which had iron nails in it, and because of this, he is killed. In fact, With the end of the Palaro, Kobayande's sacrifice was also completed, and so now Rose was probably free. Well, now Rose is very sad due to the death of her father. Then the scene shifts after 6 months, and we see that now Rose had changed her name to Rosario again, and now she used to help Mexicans and all non-Americans in stock trading. As we can see, that she had finally helped the security guard, Miguel, and his wife. Well, after their departure, Rose prays for her family, and then suddenly, the candles get extinguished. Then we see that along with the candles getting extinguished, the frame glass also broke, and Rose suddenly starts coughing. Rose feels that something is coming out of her mouth, and the biggest thing was that the same thing used to happen with Alina as well. Well, then we can see Kobayande's hand coming out of Rose's mouth, and with this, the movie ends here.